Okay. I'm gonna read a book. Okay, instead of reading articles, I'll read a book called Intelligent Investor, written by Benjamin Graham. The reason I read this book continuously is because I found this book amazing. At the same time, this book gives me a lot of great insight, something that I've never felt ever before. So, okay, I'm going to start reading the book from the page 20. Okay. Hmm. So yes, conversely, the very fact they had launched to or undoubtedly dangerous levels as judged by past experience later transformed them into investment and the entire stock buying public into investors. The distinction between investment and speculation in common stocks has always been a useful one, and its disappearance is a cause for concern. We have often said that Wall Street as an institution would be well advised to reinstate this distinction and to emphasize uh, it in all its dealings with the public. Otherwise, the stock exchanges may someday be blamed for heavy speculative losses, which those who suffer them had not been properly warned against. Ironically, once more, much of the recent financial embarrassment of some stock exchange firms seems to have come from the inclusion of speculative common stocks in their own capital funds. We trust that the reader of this book will gain a reasonably clear idea of the risks that are inherent in common stock commitments, risks which are inseparable from the opportunities of profit that they offer, and both of which must be allowed for in the investor's calculations. What we have just said indicate that there may no longer be such a thing as a common Simon Pure investment policy comprising representative common stocks. In the sense that one can always wait to buy them at a price that involves no risk of a market or quotational loss large enough to be disquieting. In most periods, the investor must recognize the existence of a speculative factor. In his common stock holdings, it is his task to keep this a component within minor limits and to be prepared financially and psychologically for adverse results that may be of short or long duration. Two paragraphs should be added about stock speculation per se, as distinguished from the speculative component now inherent in most representative common stocks. Outright speculation is neither illegal, immoral, nor fattening to the pocketbook. More than that, some speculation is necessary and unavoidable, for in many common stock situations there are substantial possibilities of both profit and loss. The risk therein must be assumed by someone. There is intelligent speculation as there is intelligent investing, but there are many ways in which speculation may be unintelligent. Of these, the foremost are speculating when you think you're investing, speculating seriously instead of as a pastime, when you lack proper knowledge and skill for it, and risking more money in speculation than you can afford to lose. In our conservative view, every non professional who operates on margin plus should recognize that is still factor speculating. And it is his broker's duty so to advise them. And everyone who buys a so called hot common stock issue or makes a purchase in any way similar thereto is either speculating or gambling. Speculation is always fascinating. And it can be a lot of fun while you are ahead of the game. If you want to try your luck at it, put aside a portion, the smaller the better, of your capital in a separate fund for this purpose. Never add more money to this account just because the market has gone up and profits are rolling in. There's a time to think of taking money out of your speculative fund. Never mingle your speculative and investment operations in the same account. Never mingle your speculative and investment operation in the same account, nor in any part of your thinking. Reserves to be expected by the defensive investor. We've already defined the defensive investor as one interested chiefly in safety plus freedom from bother. we've already defined the defensive investor as one interested chiefly in safety plus freedom from bother. In general, what course should he follow, and what return can he expect under average normal conditions, if such conditions really exist? To answer these questions, we shall consider first what we wrote on the subject 7 years ago. Next, what significant changes have occurred since then, the underlying factors governing the investor's expectable return. And finally, what he should do and what he should expect under present day conditions. What we said 6 years ago, we recommended that the investor divide his holdings between high grade bonds and leading common stocks. That the proportion held in bonds be never less than 25%, or more than 75%, with the converse being necessarily true for the common stock component. That his simplest choice would be to maintain a 50-50 proportion between the two, with adjustment to restore the equity. Market developments had disturbed it by as much as 75%. As an alternative policy, he might choose to reduce his common stock component to 25% if he felt the market was dangerously high, and conversely to advance it toward a maximum of 75% if he felt that the decline in stock prices was making it increasingly attractive. Hmm. I'm going to some of the parts here because I'm not really interested in bonds, and I don't invest in bond. So there are some parts where bond is illustrated, so I'm just gonna skip it. Okay. To conclude this section, let us mention briefly three supplementary concepts or practices for the defensive investor. The first is the purchase of the shares of well-established investment funds as an alternative to creating his own common stock portfolio. He might also utilize one of the common trust funds or common-led funds operated by trust companies and banks in many states, or if its funds are substantial, use the services of a recognized investment counsel firm. This will give him professional administration of his investment program along standard lines. The third is the device of dollar cost averaging, which means simply that the practitioner invests in common stocks the same number of dollars each month or each quarter. In this way, he buys more shares when the market is low than when it is high, and he's likely to end up with a satisfactory overall price for all his holdings. Strictly speaking, this method is an application of a broader approach known as formal investing. The latter was already alluded to in our suggestion that the investor may vary his holdings of common stocks between 25% minimum and the 75% maximum in inverse relationship to the action of the market. These ideas have merit for the defensive investor, and they will be discussed more amply in later chapters. Results to be expected by the aggressive investor. Our enterprising security buyer, of course, will desire and expect to attain better overall results than his defensive or passive companion. But first, he must make sure that his results will not be worse. It is no difficult trick to bring a great deal of energy, study, and native ability into Wall Street and to end up with losses instead of profits. These virtues, if channeled in the wrong directions, become indistinguishable from handicaps. Thus, it is most essential that the enterprise investor start with a clear conception as to which courses of action offer reasonable chances of success and which not. First, let us consider several ways in which investors and speculators generally have endeavored to obtain better than average results. These include trading the market. This usually means buying stocks when the market has been advancing and selling them after it has turned downward. The stocks selected are likely to be among those which have been behaving better than the market average. A small number of professionals frequently engage in short selling. Here they will sell issues. Uh,